Prime Minister Mark Carney announced that Canada would be recognizing Palestine as a state officially starting in September at a major United Nations conference. The change is upgrading Palestine so that the government by the Palestinian Authority is seen as a legitimate government that Canada sees as an actual state. What that actually means in principle is much more significant. It's a way of saying that we recognize the Palestinian Authority to speak on behalf of Palestinians. The Palestinian Authority only governs the West Bank right now and not Gaza. Gaza is governed by Hamas, and Canada deems Hamas to be a terrorist organization. So what we're trying to do is focus on the Palestinian Authority and help it to reform so that it can actually be the government of both Palestinian territories. Canada for decades has supported a two-state solution, and what that means is that there would be a Palestinian state that would exist peacefully alongside Israel. It's a bit complicated. Since 1967, Israel has occupied the West Bank and Gaza. So you have two territories that aren't actually a country right now. This is an occupation that Canada and most countries say is illegal. The challenge to getting Palestine to be a fully fledged state and a functioning government means working through a number of issues. That's the argument that Prime Minister Mark Carney made on Wednesday. He said the prospects for a two-state solution have been getting harder and harder because of Israeli policies in Gaza, such as starvation, such as talk of displacing the population, Israeli policies in the West Bank that have had the settlers take more land and have more violence against Palestinians, and moves from Palestinian actors themselves, including Hamas, that the terrorism and the existential threat to Israel is also a factor here, and that all of these things have made it harder for a two-state solution. Canada typically likes to follow what its allies are doing. France last week announced that it would recognize a Palestinian state, and that was a huge move because it's the first G7 country to actually proceed with that. This is sort of the first major foreign policy move that we've seen from Prime Minister Mark Carney. It's a move that might have some serious political implications for the Liberal Party, especially when it comes to support from Jewish communities and ridings with large Jewish populations. At the same time, we've seen in polling that Canadians are deeply concerned about what's going on in the Middle East, especially among Muslim communities. There's broadly a sense that our policy is not satisfactory, that we need to be doing more to sort of move towards peace, to sort of stop the situation that we're seeing in the Gaza Strip. A lot of people will be watching in the coming weeks to see if other countries are going to join. It's a symbolic move, but it's one that can have very deep impacts in the Middle East on peace in the short term and the future of the Middle East in the long term.